owe Puxatawny Phil an apology. That little rodent sure had it right this year. I really hope that you're all safe. Trust me when I say that those roads are treacherous. So don't go out unless you really must. I actually made a new friend that almost led me all the way here. We were planning today to pray over our new student pastor and his wife, Chase and Sarah. But we're going to have to wait until next week to do that when we can pray over them in person. But today, throughout the day, let's just make sure that we keep the safety of those who have to be out in these conditions. Pray for their safety in these times. But just because we're not able to be together, we're missing out on being together today, doesn't mean that we don't have opportunities to gather throughout the week. Here are just a few announcements about what's coming up.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Beaver Creek Christian Church. I'm Christy Gatlin.
Christy. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Okay,
so I just got done hosting and praying over Chase and Sarah and hosting the communion. And I'm also about to go on stage and teach.
You are.
Could I go ahead and complete the trifecta? Hosting, announcements, and teaching?
The John Schott Show?
The John Schott Show.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Beaver Creek Christian Church. I'm John, and I am here to win the Triple Crown and to let you in on what's going on around here. First things first, NCP. That's No Cold Pancakes. That's our men's ministry. We are gathering for coffee, a short devotional, and some community building this Wednesday, February 19th. Hey guys, get out your phones right now and go ahead, get them out and set your alarms for this Wednesday because we're meeting early, like 6:30 a.m. early. The meeting place is the Panera over by the Fairfield Commons Mall. This will be a great opportunity to build relationships with other guys in the church. Join the NCP group on our app to get plugged in, or if you have any questions, see Ted or me. I'll be the one on the stage here in just a minute. Maybe you've heard about Gather 25, but not quite sure what it is. Maybe this video will give you a little bit better of an idea.
Imagine if the 2.5 billion followers of Jesus on the earth right now joined together for one global gathering with one goal: to go and make disciples of all people. What you're imagining is a sacred meeting unlike any other in history. What you're imagining is Gather 25. From every continent and culture, Jesus followers are coming together in the year 2025 for prayer, worship, repentance, and commissioning. Connected live from Africa and Australia, from Europe and Asia, from North and South America, an unprecedented gathering across every time zone. Gather 25 is free to everyone, everywhere. And it won't be a gathering of the global church without you. Your community, your congregation, your pastors and leaders from every state, from every nation. This is our moment of history to come together and to carry forth the gospel to every person on the earth. This is an invitation to every follower of Jesus. This is Gather 25.
Did that help? Gather 25 is 25 hours starting next Friday, February 28th through Saturday, March 1st, where Jesus followers will gather globally, will connect digitally, will join together with one mission spiritually. Gather 25 begins at 8 p.m. on Friday, February 28th, but come out a little early, around 7 p.m. to share some snacks before getting everything started. Since BCC is the area host site, we are tasked with providing welcome teams to assist guests when they arrive throughout the 25-hour event. So use the QR code below to help us lead, serve, and love our community by signing up for a 2.5-hour shift. I am so excited for this experience. Honestly, I can't wait. Do you ever feel stuck in your spiritual life? Sometimes we need some new tools or maybe just a refresher that will help us get unstuck and to move more toward who God is calling us to be. Well, we've got an opportunity for you. Beginning Sunday, March 2nd, we will be offering our 6-week workshop called Training for the Journey, where we will explore and begin to practice some of these habits. Habits like reflecting on the Word, prayer, fasting, and solitude, among others. The workshop will be led by Ed, our pastor of equipping and care, and we'll be meeting at 9 a.m. upstairs. This is a free workshop, but please register through the BCC app or by scanning the QR code on the screen. That'll let us know if you're coming and if you need childcare. This is a great step towards getting unstuck. So plan on joining Ed for 6 weeks beginning Sunday, March 2nd. There is always something going on here at BCC. Opportunities to serve, to grow, and to do life together. Here are a couple of our latest experiences. Man, those were some fun times. Again, thank you so much for being here with us to worship. Now, please join me, me yet again, as we continue our series on mentoring.
The cabin fever lever last night was so fun. Climbing rock walls, swimming in the pool, shooting hoops. If I was wearing shorts right now, I'd hike up my leg up to show off my gym floor burns that I have on my knees from some great volleyball games. I love playing all kinds of different sports. I love watching all kinds of different sports. Speaking of, does anybody know what this is? Has anyone here ever run track? Or maybe you had a kid or niece, nephew, somebody run track. I think I've confessed to you before that I am obsessed with the Olympics, summer and winter. But when the last remaining days of the Summer Olympics come up and they focus the spotlight on the track and field arena, I am locked in. All those field events, the running, the jumping, the throwing, the shot putting. I love it. But I have a special place for the relay teams, the 4x1s, the 4x4s, that baton exchange, the syncing up with your teammate. Now, this isn't a standstill handoff. For a few steps, teammates are running together, running the race together as they attempt the pass off. They're trying to sync up at different race stages for each participant. One, sharing a piece of the run that they have carried in his or her leg and phase of the race, handing it off to another teammate who is just beginning their phase, their leg. Maybe you're at home thinking, well, gee, John, mentoring and a relay baton. Thank you for the obvious metaphor there, Captain Obvious. Well, yeah, maybe it is a well-worn depiction, but I think it is because the picture fits so well. The pouring into others is passing the baton. It's mentoring. It's discipleship. We see in Homer's story, his Greek story, the Odyssey, you see Odysseus entrusting his house and the education of his son Telemachus to his friend named Mentor. Telemachus became the student and the trainee of the man named Mentor. Simply put, a mentor is a trusted counselor, a teacher, a guide. Now, I know we've all had them in our life. Parents and grandparents, school teachers, coaches, spiritual leaders, managers. I mean, in the trades, there is a specified apprenticeship program in which mentoring process is implemented to learn these specific trades. This mentoring relationship is critical to our growth in any aspect of life. I would dare say that you are who you are today because of those who took you under their wing and shaped you into the person that you are. Just where you are right now, I'm just wondering if you can mentally form a list, or if you're like me, a visual person, faces floating in your mind of people who've helped to shape you by pouring into your life. What's that list of names or those faces floating around of the people who sharpened you into the person you are today? Do you see those names? Do you see those faces? I have 6 or 8 faces right now floating in my mind of thinking of the people that have poured into me. Because mentoring is needed in any and every aspect of life. Last week, Ted, in excellent form, helped us to begin to answer the question, why is mentoring needed? Mentoring or discipleship making is boiled down to an intentional, active relationship. I believe relationships make the world go round with God and with others. That's why here at BCC, we link arms together, moving forward, powered by the mission to live out the good news of Jesus by loving God, relationship, one another, relationship, and the cities that we call home, relationship. Now, we emphasize to live out, not just to talk about, not just to show from a distance, but to really live out, to be intentional, to be active, to be strategic. How do we do this? How do we intentionally embody this mission? Relationships. I mean, one of our values is to attack isolation, to be on the journey with you. And we ask that question to each other and introspectively, who am I? Who are you connecting with? Because life is better done together. But we take one of our values, we take relationships to another whole level as we live out this good news of Jesus by making disciples. Follow me as I follow Jesus. And we ask that question, who am I? Who are you pouring into? Providing guidance, teaching, mentoring, coaching, modeling. Who are you pouring into? Mentoring, disciple making, it's a relationship. It's not an association. It's less about parsing the words mentor, disciple, and it's more about intentional, active relationship. Sharing, shaping, sharpening. All based on your experience and wisdom. There is depth, there is movement, there is shared life experience, transparency, honesty, courage, humility. Mentoring, disciple making is a relationship that contains a mentor and a mentee role. One pouring out and one being filled up. Now, throughout the pages and stories and lives of people recorded in the Bible, you have so many of Jesus pouring into his followers, and then an even more intimate group of followers, and then even more of a core intimate group of followers. We have Paul and Timothy last week. Again, thank you, Ted. And even Barnabas pouring into Paul. And you have just so many examples. Today, we'd like to set the spotlight on the mentor role, pouring into others. Now, you may want to stop right now and be like, okay, that's not me. I'm not a mentor role because I'm at this age or this stage of life. I would hit the buzzer and be like, you're wrong. It is not mentor, easy for me to say, and mentee roles are not just age specific. It's not like I hit 40, I hit 45, I hit 50, I hit a certain age, and all of a sudden I become a mentor. We're all mentors. And a phenomenal example of someone pouring into another is in the life of Joshua. Moses pours his life into Joshua. Who is Moses? For those of you needing a refresher or would like that, he's a national leader. He's a national hero. He's a liberator of his people. Literally out of slavery, taking this nomadic nation as they move towards their promised land. He's a military strategist, taking his nation to war at times. He's a high court judge, helping to dispute conflict between individuals as well as groups. He's a spiritual leader. But before we again try to divorce ourselves from being a mentor and elevating Moses to this pedestal, and in contrasting ourselves, it's important for us also to know that he's a murderer. He was on the lam for over 4 decades. He was a poor delegator. He struggled with anger. He had a speech impediment, disobedient at times. So before we elevate Moses and contrast ourselves and eliminate ourselves from this conversation, we need to recognize for the human that he is. He was called to mentor Joshua so that Joshua could step into the leadership role as his successor. As we look at Moses and his interaction with Joshua, what do we learn? Right off the bat in Deuteronomy 3, we see that Moses was told by God to encourage, strengthen, prepare, pass the baton to Joshua. And despite the specific instructions to Moses, I think that this also includes us. I believe that we're commanded by God, that we're designed by God, that we're purposed with an intended purpose to live out a mentoring and disciple-making identity, to pass the baton. Have you ever considered or thought that God is generationally minded? The Lord clearly is concerned about perpetuating his character and his ways from generation to generation. And he knows this happens. He's designed this to happen through the mentoring and disciple-making process. Yes, there is no verse that says, "Thou shalt mentor." It's not found in Scripture. But I think here are some commands that we see that directly relate to mentoring. Go, make disciples, teaching them. Commit or entrust these things to faithful men. They'll teach others also. Show yourself as a model. Be an example so those can observe your conduct. Fathers, mothers, train. Generations to generation, train. I mean, it sure sounds like to me that God is deeply concerned with mentoring. It sure sounds like God wants us to be actively engaged in shaping the next generation and to receive from experienced generations. So we see this race, we see this baton exchange, this relationship between two teammates at different points in their race, one completing their leg and another starting. A relationship passer and receiver, the mentor, the mentee, the disciple, the discipler. I think there's enough evidence for all of us to agree that God is generationally minded. But just because we are designed and purposed does not mean, and intended to be a mentor, does not mean that we are good at this relationship. The intention of this conversation, or these conversations over the past couple of weeks, is not to unveil some grand program or some curriculum process. I mean, if I could be real and just personal, I've seen these attempted in a number of other places. I was in the midst of it as well as from a distance. And more times than not, a lot more times than not, they seem to fall flat. or they seem to be put on the back burner, or there seems to be lack of any real follow through. These programs often seem to make the mentor or the mentee fit into some cookie cutter system or track. These can be really good tools, but ultimately mentoring and discipleship is a relationship, not a program. But this is an area that we all can grow in. This is an area we all must step into. An area we are designed and purposed to grow into, because that is who we're intended to be. That is who we're designed to be. So it requires us to step into a piece of our identity, an area of our identity that I would dare guess to say some, most, maybe all of us, it's a little dormant, this piece of our identity. And so it's my hope, it's our hope for us all to take a step to do better. Better at the relationships, better at finding courage, better at living out Jesus' love in this way. So why mentor? Because God commanded it. It's our designed intent purpose. And also, I'm bringing some sunshine and rainbows today. You will not live forever. Hebrews 7 shows Jesus as the forever high priest. The high priest that is in this position forever. And it's contrasted in verse 23 with, and the former priests were in high number, but they couldn't continue in the office because they died. Someone else comes along and takes our place. They take up the baton. They take the baton or they pick it up from the ground if it wasn't handed to them. And that's just the way the world works. You can't change it. I mean, God told Moses to go up the mountain and look at the land. Look at the land that I've promised to the people. And also, you will not enter it. You'll die before you get in. So Moses, he knows this truth. He knows that his time's coming to an end. But he cares for the people that he leads. And so we see in Numbers 27, Moses said to the Lord, may the Lord, the God who gives breath to all living things, appoint someone over this community to go out and come in before them. One who will lead them out and bring them in. And so the Lord's people will not be like sheep without a shepherd. So the Lord said to Moses, take Joshua, son of Nun, a man in whom is the spirit of leadership, and lay your hand on him. So we see Moses caring for the people and seeing a need to pass the baton. And then we see in Joshua 1:2, the first thing God tells Joshua in Joshua 1:2, as they're about to enter the promised land, Moses, my servant, is dead. Moses' death left Israel in need of a new leader. And thanks to God's heart for his people, he trained Moses to train Joshua. Moses shepherded Joshua. He mentored Joshua for 40 years. And only after that was Joshua ready to take on the mantle of leadership. So the two options we have is either we work now to get people prepared for that day, or our death will leave people around us in chaos, unprepared. I saw this Dave Ramsey quote that says, if you hate your family, die without a will. I would add that if you hate your church, die without preparing the next generation. So why be a mentor? Why mentor? Because God commanded it and it's our intended purpose. Because you and I will not live forever. And because things are better shown than told. Maybe you're familiar with this Chinese proverb, tell me and I forget. Teach me, I may remember. Involve me and I learn. Whether it's difficult decisions, parenting, finances, leadership, marriage, sharing your faith, running the race side by side as you exchange the baton, sharing shared life experiences, sharing wisdom, lessons learned. I mean, we observe Moses intentionally developing Joshua. You see Moses pouring into Joshua for over 40 years, inviting Joshua, incorporating Joshua, sharing experiences with him. I mean, you have it throughout Exodus. You have Moses bringing Joshua with him up the mountain as he receives the 10 commandments. And then Joshua is with Moses and he observes his righteous indignation when Moses smashes the 2 tablets in response to the people he loves and leads as they have sought out other ways to worship and not having their eyes on God. Joshua was there to witness the Holy Communion Moses shared with God as Joshua guarded the tent of meeting. Joshua got to see that relationship. And through all these critical moments and more in the life of God's people, Joshua was there with Moses. Moses helped ensure the following generation would love and fear God. He served his people by pouring his life into another. And immediately after Moses' death, Joshua was ready to lead Israel. Now, I think it's pretty clear that Moses' behavior is a model for us today. I mean, we can see the priority he placed on the future by how he poured and empowered himself into young leaders like Joshua. Simply put, leaders are responsible for future leadership. Do you believe that? Now, when I say leaders, again, don't exclude yourself and say, I'm not a leader. We all lead people. We all lead in relationships with others. And so a leader who's not developing future leaders is not serving the organization, the family, the body, the church. The leader is either being short-sighted or selfish. Short-sighted in that the future is not being considered. Or selfish in that the leader thinks only about himself or herself. So why mentor? Because God calls us to pour into others. Because our time is guaranteed to end. Because it's better to show than tell. And because someone did it for you. Someone taught you how to ride a bike. Someone taught you how to make a great grilled cheese sandwich. How to put a worm on a hook, how to walk, how to read, how to tie shoes, how to play an instrument, math homework, how to pump your legs as you learn to swing. Someone sacrificed their time for you. Someone knew that the job would take a little longer because you would be helping. You would slow them down. I think about, now I'm going to say this, my wife is an awesome cook and baker. I think about the times she's set out to bake something and then 1 or 2 or all 3 of our girls come scampering in from different directions wanting to help. Wanting to measure, wanting to dump, wanting to stir, wanting to pour. Wanting to sprinkle and decorate. And something that would have taken this long now takes this long. And something that would have been this messy is this messy. I'm thinking about us in our home now. There were a number of different outlet covers all throughout the house. So we wanted some uniformity, found a nice contractor bundle, and we were going to change them and make them a little more uniform. And so I was like, okay, I can get this done pretty quick. And then our middle daughter, Josie, wanted to help. And I was excited for her to help. But to be honest, part of me was also like, oh, this is going to take a while. Because it took a while, and every couple half turns, the screwdriver would fall off, and she'd screw some more, and it'd fall off again. But she kept getting better and better throughout it. I like crisp edges when I wrap a gift. But it never fails that the girls want to help me wrap, and the present wrapped is not quite the way I would like it to be done. Or like a day today with the snow outside and shoveling. I know it's going to take a while, but I can get it done. But the girls want to come out and do it, and it feels like they shovel 3 flakes at a time. Learning the technique on how to do it and how to approach it. Thinking about over the years having interns, called internship deja vu. As much as you speak your experiences into their life, ultimately, more times than not, they step into the same choices you made. And there's a patience and there's a willingness for them to learn. Someone dealt with the frustrations of inexperience, of mistakes, attitudes, of growing pains. Someone walked through all of that with you. Moses walked through life. He walked through the journey with Joshua, pouring into him by teaching about God, God's teachings, how to accomplish his plans, how to not turn from his law, how to meditate on the book day and night. He gave him responsibility to go into battle. He gave him responsibility to delegate his authority and choose men for battle. He encouraged Joshua to maintain strength and courage, to composure in crisis. He reiterated the works and the ways of the Lord. He prepared Joshua for leadership as the next leader. He publicly announced and empowered Joshua in front of others. So as we look at this idea of what it is to be a mentor, what a mentor is a source of information, knows things about life, provides wisdom, knowing what to do next, promotes specific skills and effective behaviors. There's a guidance in the practical, provides feedback, gives an informed point of view, coaches, preparation for that game, for life, a sounding board, safe, an opportunity to test ideas and intuitions, someone to turn to, in times of problems, a place of trust and respect and safety, to devise plans, someone who nurtures curiosity, points towards possibilities, opportunities, and even the unexplored. So the question becomes, who should be pouring into the lives of others? You, me, all of us. Not the select few, not those with only specified qualifications, but more importantly, the qualification of courage to step into someone's life as a patient guide. Not wishing, gee, I hope this might happen. Honestly, God's design of life-on-life mentoring, this disciple making, I don't really feel like it's all that prevalent and happening all that much. But why? Why is the need for life-on-life relationships of the experienced pouring into the unexperienced largely not happening? What keeps me from serving as a mentor and a guide and a teacher and a counselor to another person? The four most common answers that I've experienced when having these conversations about people stepping in mentoring. The first one is, I don't care. This would-be mentor simply isn't interested in the process. These people don't see any compelling need or feel any great urgency. Many of us lean in. When it's time to have action, instead of leaning towards action, we lean towards apathy. There's no amount of motivation or magical words can change this reason. Simply put, it's a conversation between those who have that reason and a generationally minded creator. Another reason is I don't feel adequate. I feel inadequate. I have real doubts of whether or not I can pull this off. Now, can I give us a little glimpse behind the curtain? We are all scared and intimidated with the thought of pouring into someone else and being poured into. In the past, I've been asked to mentor. Okay, not in those words, but someone's seeking wisdom. They're seeking some guidance. And often in areas that I don't perceive myself to be a certified expert. A dad. In my mind, I'm thinking, no way, if only you knew all of my impatient shortcomings. A spiritual leader. In my mind, I'm like, no way, if only you knew my selfish, prideful tendencies. These fears, these feelings of inadequacy need to be called out for what they are. Lies. Ammo from the enemy. Now, Moses could easily have leaned into the excuse of his weaknesses, his faults, his failures, his inadequacies. And yet, he stepped into his intended identity. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be the perfect parent. I'm not sure any of us are. I know I definitely am not. You don't have to be the perfect leader to pour into somebody else. Another reason is no one ever asked me. No invitation. Never received an invitation. No one took the initiative or approached me. It's like this picture of these two facing each other in these chairs. This is the most common picture we have a lot of times in church when it comes to mentoring and discipleship. These two are sharing a physical space and time together. And I hear from people entering into a new phase of life. I wish I knew what I was doing. And I wish I had a fountain of knowledge and wisdom to tap into. And on the other side, I hear people on the back end of that phase, or even beyond that phase, saying, man, I wish I could find a ministry, something I could do to make a difference for Jesus. Do you think there might be possibilities here? But sadly, how does this picture commonly end? Well, both people, without opening their eyes up to the needs or to the experience and inexperience, without speaking with their mouth, without stepping up with courage, they don't ask each other. They don't engage with each other. They get up and they go their own way. I need you to get this. The responsibility of the request to step into this relationship does not fully rest on either. And yet the weight of asking fully falls on both. What do I mean? No formula on how this works. What matters is someone extends an invitation to a conversation. Who's supposed to step into this relationship? The answer is yes. The weight does not lay on one side or the other. Mentor only invite. No. Mentee must invite only. No. Too many times I've heard stories of people frustrated, wanting to be mentored, but not having anyone invite them into that space. They're sitting in their chair, waiting for an invitation. Same for mentors. Well, I would like to pour into another, but who? Frozen by indecision, frozen by introvertedness, frozen by fear, frozen by lies. The motivator is in Proverbs 13:20. It says, walk with the wise and become wise. This presupposes that the inexperienced is hungry and wanting to be on that journey together with the wise, receiving that baton. Proverbs 13:20 also presupposes that the wise are ready and willing. So do it. The fourth most common answer I've gotten is, I don't know how. Really, this is the easiest reason to surmount. There's techniques, there's tools that are readily available. But beyond techniques and tools, it's a willingness to have a relationship, a willingness to be transparent about your own life with another. Now, as you think about stepping into mentoring, there are a couple myths about, I don't know how, and it clouds this reason. And one is mentors do all the giving. It's all on the mentor. And that's not true. The beautiful truth is that both participants gain in this relationship. Another myth is everything depends on the mentor. Like, I love this picture. It's like a man flying a kite. Now, the kite does the flying. And the wind creates the life. And all the man does, all the mentor does, and the woman does, is have to hold onto the string with just the right amount of pull and give. I love that picture. So we're called to live out the good news of Jesus. And in one of those ways, it's to make disciples. Follow me as I follow Jesus. Asking the question, who am I pouring into? But the beautiful thing is, of all our values, this is the only one that has two questions, because there's two sides to the coin. And so it's not only who am I pouring into, but who am I letting to pour into me? Who am I mentoring, and who am I a mentee towards? We are not called to build buildings. We are not called to create ministries. We are called to make disciples, build into people, create space, create time to love, to lead, to counsel, to guide, to pass the baton. To pass the baton, though, begins by considering, what have I been through in my life? What have you been through in your life? Did you survive middle school? Just barely? Well, you did. Help a middle schooler. Did you parent toddlers and survive? Ooh, that was even a closer call. You did. You survived. Help toddler parents or soon-to-be toddler parents. Have you gone through grief of a loved one? Have you navigated a job transition? Have you figured out how to balance your checkbook? When it comes to passing the baton, we consider, what have I done in my life, but also, what am I good at? Am I good at plumbing? I'm not. Am I good at electricity? I'm not. Am I good at sewing? I'm not. My wife is. Teaching, woodworking, prayer, finances. If someone loved you enough to mentor you, will you love the next person enough to mentor him or her? Can I just encourage you to find someone today who needs a mentor and initiate the mentoring process? It's worth it. I am not trying to oversimplify this. This is not an easy process. This is not easy because you step into a new relationship. But can I encourage you, even though you're at home right now, to take out your phone, go find it. If you need to put pause on this as you go find it, you're probably scrolling through it right now, barely listening to me, and that's okay. Just kidding. Open up the texting message. Put in your texting app, put in your own number, and you're going to text yourself some names. Consider work, maybe it's school, extended family, neighbors, church. Consider the name of people that you're willing to engage in a conversation. A conversation answering two questions, asking, who can I pour into? And honestly, do this. Make a list. Who can I pour into? Thinking about where you've been, what you're good at, and how some of those people in your life might need somebody to come alongside them. But then also asking the question, who will I let pour into me? And really compile a list. Take that time. Hit send. And then can I please just encourage you this week to prayerfully revisit this text? And can I encourage you to step in with courage, to initiate, to walk alongside, to pour into another, to pass the baton? Thank you.